What's up, everyone? I'm being guided to read out of this book today. So it says January 20th. In AA, we're all through with lying, hangovers, remorse, and wasting money. When we were drinking, we were only half alive. Now that we're trying to live decent, honest, unselfish lives, we're really alive. Life is a new meaning for us so that we can really enjoy it. We feel that we're some use in the world. We're on the right side of the fence instead of on the wrong side. We can look the world in the face instead of hiding in alleys. We come into AA to get sober, and if we stay long enough, we learn a new way of living. Am I convinced that no matter how much fun I got out of drinking, that life never was as good as the life I can build in AA or in sobriety, all right? I want to be the one with the divine spirit of the universe. I will set my deepest affections on things spiritual, not on things material. As we think, so we are. So I will think of and desire that which will help, not hinder my spiritual growth. I will try to be at one with God. No human aspiration can reach higher than this. I pray that I may think love, and love will surround me. I pray that I may think health, and health will come to me. This is about doing the work, right? It's I may think love, and love will surround me. I pray that I may think health, and health will come to me. So I will try to be at one with God. No human aspiration can reach higher than this. And I got to tell you, that's where it's at. Is my relationship with God. And I'm very grateful that early on in my sobriety, I met a woman that just really loved me until not until, like, she taught me unconditional love. She taught me that it existed, because until I felt it from her, I had never experienced it. And what it is, for those of you that may not know, is love without expectations. And this woman just loved me. And she was like my number one cheerleader. I have never had another cheerleader like her. She never told me what to do. What she did was share her experience through her experience, strength, and hope, right? With me. And, I would call her crying over whatever, things that were outside of myself, outside of my relationship with God. And she would say things to me like, you could do that. I'd be like, I want to call him and tell him I'm never seeing him again, And she said, I want you to think about what you just said right there. She's like, say it again, And I'd say, I want to call him and tell him I'm never going to talk to him again. She's like, say it again. And then by the third time, I'd usually be like, oh, like, kind of sounds stupid, right? Why are you going to call someone and say, I'm never going to talk to you again? Like, just don't talk to them, right? But these were like little baby steps that I needed to learn, like where it was like, how important is it? Like, do I want to be right, or do I want to be happy, right? I want to be happy. I want to be at peace with myself, with God. And who she taught me to rely on was not her, but God, And even though she taught me to have a relationship with God, until she died, like, I always ran everything by her. If she heard what I was doing, if she, I'd hear her experience on a situation, and then I could be okay or not with whatever it was that I had questions about, right? But she always would direct me to God. She always told me from the very start, talk to God. She'd share her experience with me and then direct me to to God. And she say, do it, Lisa. I did it 50 times. If you hear my story and you only do it 25 times, or possibly you can learn something from my mistakes, right? Or not really mistakes. She didn't really believe in mistakes, and that was kind of, I inherited that belief, because what she taught me was to look for my lesson. I would be doing the same thing over and over again, and she'd say, Lisa, you better start begging God for the lesson so you can stop going through this, because once you receive that lesson, more than likely you're not going to repeat whatever behavior that is, right? And you might want to, because I know that temptation is a real thing, and yeah, but I'm very grateful to her for instilling that in me, to always talk to God and to develop that relationship with him, because she allowed me to see her humanness. And in doing so, I let myself be free to be human. And until that time, all throughout like my drinking and everything, I was always trying to be who everybody else wanted me to be. And yeah, that's on me, right? So as I've gotten sober and stayed sober, that's what I do. I've learned to let my humanness show, and when it shows really, really in a way where people are laughing at me or pointing their fingers at me or talking crap about me, because all that has happened, right? I've learned that it's okay, because I'd rather be me and do something foolish than be stuck on stuck on the bench, like not making a move because I'm afraid of what other people are going to think about me if I do move that way. There were so many things I stopped myself from, and they weren't all like gigantic things. Some of them were like little simple things, like I had always wanted to be platinum blonde, and I was always terrified. I always had like long dark hair, and I was always terrified of making my hair blonde. And then, I finally did it, and it was so freeing, because I was always nervous that, one, I was going to like look ugly, or two, people were going to make fun of me, or like, I wouldn't be living up to the expectations of others. Right. And, the closer that I get to God, the more he reveals to me who I am, right? And I learned to develop this relationship, not just with him, but with myself, right? And I learned to rely on myself and him for my decisions. And it's been a really gut-wrenching experience. But today, like I've been sober now 23 years, and God and I are like this, man, and I can make my moves. And even if I have fear, the faith I have in getting through whatever it is I'm going through, because of the things that I've already been through and overcame without picking up a drink, without killing anybody. I mean, it's huge. In sobriety, I lost, 5 people in a 19-month period that were like my rocks, right? And then 2 years later, the man I was madly in love with died. There's never been a time in my sobriety where I wanted to die more, just wanted to give up, and I didn't. I've lost everything in sobriety. I've gotten my home robbed in sobriety. I've made very, very poor choices in regards to relationships with others, and in sobriety, I've dealt with a very sick son, and when he was born that way, and then until he was way into his teens, we spent a lot of time in the hospital. Like, he basically grew up there, and as well as my daughter, because we all lived in there, and there was a time where they were both sick, and there neither one of them was responding to treatments, and it was terrifying. And that was me and God. Every now and then somebody would pop in and see how I was doing, but being in a hospital where when your kids' lives are on the line, like, it's a terrifying experience. I'm grateful to this day. I got to walk out with my kids, because I've heard in there the cry, of a mother. I remember, in the middle of the night, one time I couldn't sleep because I was stressed out about money, and because I hadn't worked, and I was just like, where is it going to come from, and I just couldn't believe that this was my life, and I was just like, what? I was just totally being the victim, right? And I hear this scream come from one of the other rooms, and I just knew in my heart that somebody's baby had died, and because we were on the oncology floor, the pediatric oncology floor, hematology and oncology, and so it was a real thing that to witness, and God put me in my place that day, and I'll never forget that lesson, because I thought my life was so horrible, because they were going to shut off my Comcast because I couldn't pay my bill, and I got to leave with my kids. That woman didn't, and God's given me those moments, many moments like that throughout my sobriety. When I think I have it rough, He shows me, oh no, you don't, Lisa. Even though I have not experienced some easy things, but it could always be worse, and that's why I try to stay in gratitude and take accountability for my actions. I do my best to be a woman of my word. If I say I'm going to show up somewhere, I show up. I do my job to the best of my ability. That's why. Because I'm grateful for the things that I have. Like, I might not have much to other people, but I have a lot more than I ever thought I could achieve. And it's a beautiful thing, and I know that it's not always going to be this way. That was something else that that woman Maureen used to say to me, when the shit was really hitting the fan. She said, one thing I can promise is that it's not always going to be like this, babe. And she was always right. And something else I'm being guided to share with you guys is, when you're going through this like rough time, think about the worst possible scenario and the best possible scenario, and know that something right in the middle is what's going to happen. And that's usually what happens, and anyway, God is good, God is great. That's what I started hearing. And yeah, anyway, keep leaning into it. I love you. Bye.